Hello everybody, this is the entire history of the NBA. Let's go.
This is what basketball looked like a century ago.
Hey.
And here's what it looks like now.
Yeah.
So, how did we get here? Well, it all started when a teacher named James Naismith wanted to make a fun game for his students. And boom, just like that, we got basketball. But at first, the game was complete garbage. I mean, they played with soccer balls and used wooden baskets as hoops. Yeah, it was literally basketball. And they couldn't even dribble. But the game quickly evolved. And by 1906, metal rims were introduced. They finally allowed dribbling, thank God. And the very first professional basketball league was formed, the NBL. But 12 years later, another league was created called the BAA, creating teams like the Celtics, the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Warriors. And by 1949, basketball was getting so popular that the BAA and the NBL were like, let's do it. So they merged, creating the NBA. But despite
Hey, yo. That sucks. So, bro, why would you make that in a video? Rebound. What's wrong with you?
being the #1 basketball league in the world, most players in the NBA still had day jobs, like Norman Glick, who worked as a plumber. I'm not kidding. But in 1956, one of the greatest players of all time made his NBA debut, Celtics legend Bill Russell. I mean, he was so good that he won a championship in his first season, and 10 more throughout his career. Yeah, 11 championships. The Celtics dominated the league for 13 years straight. But in 1959, Bill's biggest rival joined the league, Wilt Chamberlain, a man who could bench 500 pounds, sleep with 20,000 women, and score 100 points in a single game. A record he still holds to this day. By the way, none of those things were ever recorded on camera, so there's a bit of debate on whether any of it happened. The next 20 years were a dark era for the NBA. In fact, it was almost the death of it. In 1967, a rival league was formed called the ABA, creating teams like the Spurs, Nuggets, Nets, and Pacers. 2 different leagues with over 200 players, completely splitting the basketball fan base. Not only that, but 70% of NBA players were addicted to drugs, which was a big no-no. And by 1978, the NBA was down so bad, even most of the finals weren't aired on TV. Nobody cared about the NBA. But right before officially going bankrupt, the league was saved by 2 unlikely stars.
Who was it?
This is Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
Oh,
and in 1978, they were the 2 greatest players in college basketball history that just so happened to be playing at the exact same time, leading to one of the greatest rivalries ever. They talked smack, got physical, all while dropping 20 points on each other. It became the hottest thing on TV. I'm talking 40 million viewers for a single college game. Between 1978 and 1979, Bird and Magic officially declared for the league, with Bird going to the Boston Celtics and Magic to the Lakers. Meanwhile, the NBA absorbed the 4 remaining ABA teams, making the NBA the only professional basketball league. And oh yeah, in 1979, they finally added the iconic 3-point line. The NBA was suddenly bigger than ever. Hell, the league even started selling players' jerseys for the first time. And it was all led by Bird and Magic. But despite all that, the NBA had no clue what was about to hit them. Because there was a kid from North Carolina about to change not only basketball, but the world forever.
What is it? Let's see.
In 1982, a 19-year-old college player was averaging 13 points and 4 rebounds. Nothing special, but it was enough to help bring his team, the North Carolina Tar Heels, to the NCAA championship. And it was during that game that he made a name for himself. Because in the final seconds, with his team down 1, he did this.
18. Shot. Jordan. It's over. North Carolina.
They won.
Michael Jordan was ready to take over the basketball world. And in 1984, when Jordan was drafted by the Chicago Bulls, he instantly became a star, winning Rookie of the Year, and looking like he'd be the face of the game for years to come. But at the start of his sophomore season, Jordan shattered his foot. Meanwhile, there was another player coming out of college, ready to take MJ's spot. This is Len Bias. And the kid was so good, scouts were saying he'd for sure be better than MJ. He was bigger, stronger, and a better rebounder. And in 1986, he was drafted by the Boston Celtics, a team that still had legends like Larry Bird, Bill Walton, and Danny Ainge. But just 2 days later, the NBA was hit with one of their worst tragedies.
Local success story took a tragic turn this morning. Len Bias, the Maryland University basketball star on his way to becoming a world champion Boston Celtic, died of an apparent heart attack today at Leland Memorial Hospital in Prince George's County.
He died of heart failure because he used cocaine. The medical examiner said the cocaine in Bias's body was virtually pure, while most found in Maryland is 60% diluted. He said Bias inhaled the powder. Within seconds, it was absorbed into the blood and quickly interrupted the electrical activity in his brain, and that produced an irregular heartbeat.
Len Bias tragically passed away, and with that, brought an end to the Celtics dynasty. But there was another dynasty right around the corner.
Alright, let's see the other one.
Now, a few months later, Michael Jordan returned from injury and literally became the most famous person in the world. He won 3 championships in a row with the Bulls, released the most iconic shoes of all time, the Jordan 1s, and he was...
Michael Jordan right here. See? Wait, what is the name? Like, it literally... That's Jordan. It says the name right there. And it has his number. See? Like, this is his actual poster. Yeah. See, I'll show you. Look, look, look. Look at that. Doesn't that look cool? Like, look. It's even like, yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. Anyway.
No fame.
The United States Military Academy, West Point. It gave me the code I live by. Duty, honor, country. Bob Casey's had 18 years, and he's never made a difference. He's too weak. I'm Dave McCormick. I approve this message. Donate today.
Where MJ did dedicated the win to his dad, and it was truly beautiful. But as Jordan's career came to an end, a new era of players were ready to take over. Players like Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Allen Iverson. They all brought something the league had never seen before. AI redefined how you could dribble and move with the ball. Kobe brought his Mamba mentality, while no one could contain Shaq's size. But the changes went beyond just the court. By the early 2000s, we saw more players with tattoos. They were wearing chains and jewelry. The league had gotten a complete makeover.
2003.
By the year 2003, Shaq and Kobe were dominating the league. They teamed up on the Lakers, and it won 3 championships in a row. It was a thing of beauty. That was, until their relationship fell apart. Kobe thought Shaq was being a lazy fat ass, and Shaq thought Kobe was mean. So the two ended up hating each other. But all eyes were on a much bigger story. See, there was a player in high school that was more famous than any NBA player. A player that was part Magic Johnson, part MJ, and part superhuman. I'm talking about LeBron James, the most exciting prospect basketball had ever seen. I mean, if the league accepted high schoolers, he would have been playing in the NBA at 16. He was that good. And in the 2003 draft, he was selected by his hometown team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, ready to claim his crown as the king of the NBA. But while everyone had their eyes on LeBron, something sinister was going on in the background. A referee by the name of Tim Donaghy was rigging games for the Mafia, telling them which teams to put money on. And it wasn't just a single game, or even one series. He was rigging games for 4 years straight. Tim was literally changing the history of the NBA with each game he reffed. But eventually, the FBI got involved. A 2-year investigation was conducted, and Tim went to jail for 11 months. But the 2000s weren't all bad.
2010.
In 07, the league saw the beginning of the super team era in the Boston Celtics, made up of 3 NBA legends, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce. And I know there were other super teams over the years, The 82 Sixers, the 96 Bulls, hell, even the 2003 Lakers. But for the first time in NBA history, teams were intentionally trading for 3 superstars to try and win it all. And in 2010, the Miami Heat pulled off the greatest super team the NBA had ever seen. Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron. I mean, they were so good. They made it all the way to the finals in their first year.
Dang! 2011.
By 2011, the league had hit one of its lowest points, going into a complete lockout. Basically, team owners wanted to pay their players less. Players said hell no, and the NBA shut down. So, with nothing to do all day, stars like LeBron and KD went and dominated in local gyms. Some players like J.R. Smith went overseas to play, while others were forced to literally find a normal job. No one knew if this was the end of the NBA. But finally, after 161 days, everyone came to a new agreement. And this marked the beginning of the absolutely ridiculous NBA contracts we see today. I mean, dudes like Timothy Mozgov, who averaged 6 points a game, signed a $65 million contract. While stars like Kevin Durant were signing contracts for over $160 million. To put that into perspective, the most Bill Russell got paid at the height of his career was $100 grand per year. That is only $975,000 in today's money. With the NBA finally back, LeBron lived it up in Miami, going to 4 straight finals, winning 2 of them. Basketball was witnessing a new GOAT emerge, and the NBA was in the midst of its LeBron era. By 2014, LeBron returned to Cleveland, ready to win his hometown a ring, thinking it was going to be an endless flow of championships. But, there was a team in the Bay Area with a player named Steph Curry, who was about to change the NBA.
I got his jersey,
forever.
bro. I actually got his jersey. It's right in my closet over there. And I'm not gonna show you my closet, but my closet is like right behind me. Like it's like this is my bed right here, and my closet is a little back there. So I have his jersey. Yeah, I do. I have his. Yeah, I have it. So 2016.
Steph Curry could shoot the ball from anywhere, and I mean anywhere. The league had never seen anything like it. 3-point shots used to just be, a normal part of the game, but now we saw Steph Curry making it the #1 option, from hitting more threes than any player in NBA history, to taking home the MVP award that year, and winning the 2015 NBA Finals. He broke boundaries and changed the way the league viewed shooting. So other teams started shooting threes like crazy, trying to find their own Steph Curry. But there was a problem. The dude was one of a kind. So from 2015 to 2018, it was the king of the league versus the greatest shooter of all time. And it made for some of the most memorable playoff series ever. Like in 2016, when LeBron and the Cavs were down 3-1 to the Warriors in the finals. But somehow they came back and won it all, making it LeBron's greatest accomplishment. Meanwhile, international players started invading the league, like Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Nikola Jokic, who account for the last 5 MVPs from 2019 to 2023. Suddenly, the league's best players weren't even American. It was like nothing the league had ever seen before. But what nobody saw coming was a worldwide pandemic.
2020.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
Now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus officially hitting the U.S.
If I show up to an arena and ain't no fans in there, I ain't playing.
The NBA is suspending the season.
See, the NBA was forced to completely shut down for 4 months. Luckily though, the league was trying to cook up a plan to bring basketball back, and what they came up with seemed insane at first. Because the NBA invited teams to Disney World, where they would come and play out the rest of the season while being stuck inside a bubble for 3 months. They couldn't leave, they couldn't bring anyone in, they couldn't even order food from outside restaurants. It was rough. But LeBron got his 4th ring out of it, and nobody got sick. By 2021, COVID was still around, but the fans were back, and we got to see one of the weirdest seasons ever. The Nets lost in the playoffs because KD's foot was too big. LeBron got eliminated in the first round for the first time in his career, and the Bucks won their first championship since 1971. In the 2022-23 season, we got to see a legendary Celtics vs. Warriors finals, where Steph took home his 4th ring. But I think it's more important to talk about where we are today.
2023.
See, I feel like there's a problem. that no one seems to be mentioning. The NBA's most popular players are getting really old, and I think we're about to witness the end of an era. I mean, the typical retirement age for an NBA player is 35. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler, James Harden, D. Rose, and Westbrook are all 34. Steph and KD are 35, CP3 is 38, and the king of the NBA, LeBron James, is 38 years old too, which makes him the oldest player in the entire NBA. I mean, are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? These dudes are about to retire, and the league is about to look a whole lot different very soon. Because with 30 teams at the moment, the league has plans to expand to 32 teams. And with how much the league's changed already, who knows what we could see in 20 more years. Like, there's already talks about a 4-point line, airless basketballs, and Toyota's developing a robot that might even play in the league. This really is the end of an era and the beginning of something new.
Kamala backed Biden on everything. She supported his disastrous economic agenda, higher taxes on the middle class. Kamala backed his open border policies, and their weakness invited wars. Kamala broke it. President Trump will fix it.
Alright. Okay, welcome to the whole entire history of the MLB.
Well, it wasn't always like this. Centuries ago, it was more akin to its current form, and it took more than a couple of handshakes to make the MLB one of the strongest leagues in sports. The year 1903, a time when the baseball world was about to witness something incredible. The National League and the American League, two competing groups in baseball, decided to put their differences aside and their disputes and come together. Now, this wasn't just a simple agreement to be friends. It was more like a coming together of superheroes, forming a strong team that led to the start of the World Series. Imagine this as baseball's version of the Avengers coming together to find out who the best in baseball is every year. This partnership marked the beginning of MLB's rapid growth, with teams popping up not only across the US, but also in Canada. Let's go back to the early days of baseball, all the way back to the 1700s, when the game was somewhat similar to the British game of rounders. Envision people dressed in fancy clothes from the old days, running around and hitting a ball with a stick. A fun activity, no matter how you look at it. There was a children's book from 1744 called A Little Pretty Pocketbook, which showed a game named Baseball. Yes, with a hyphen for extra style, and it had bases that were actually posts, not the most comfortable thing to slide into. This early version of baseball was like the sport's awkward teenage years, combining elements of rounders and other bat and ball games that made their way to North America. As time went on, by the 1820s and 1830s, the game began to evolve in the US, with clubs forming everywhere and the rules of baseball starting to be established. The game really began to take off in 1845 with the formation of the Knickerbocker Baseball Club of New York. These pioneers set the rules that would change baseball into the game we adore today. They thought it was too harsh to hit runners with the ball to get them out, choosing instead a kinder tag-based approach. This led to the introduction of a harder ball, changing how the game was played. After the Civil War, this version of baseball from New York became incredibly popular across the country, helped by soldiers who had become fans of the game. By the end of the 19th century, baseball was more than just a game. It had become a significant part of American life, leading to the creation of professional teams and leagues, and becoming a key aspect of American culture. Then came 1903, a period when people dressed elegantly for games, and the idea of a national pastime was hitting its stride. The National League, or NL, and the American League, or AL, stepped up as a formidable pair. The NL had been a part of the baseball scene since 1876, known for its impressive gameplay. The AL made its entrance in 1901, eager to make a name for itself. They chose to end their ongoing feud, which was full of drama, secret dealings, and a fierce battle for fans' hearts. By joining forces, these leagues did more than just end their conflicts. They combined their strengths like peanut butter and jelly, creating the ultimate American sports tradition. The inception of the wasn't just a finishing touch. It was a major event, setting up an annual battle to determine baseball's best. This was about more than peace. It was about weaving a fabric of teams into a national sport, turning a simple game into a symbol of American identity. But the story doesn't stop there. Baseball, dressed in its traditional uniforms, went on a thrilling journey through the early 20th century, entering an era where home runs were rare and games had low scores, making them less exciting for some. However, even with scandals that could rival movie plots like the infamous Black Sox scandal of 1919, baseball managed to maintain its appeal and integrity. You see, during the difficult times of the Great Depression and World War II, baseball stood as a beacon of hope and joy, much like a top-notch restaurant delivering excellent service. In these dark periods of economic struggles and wartime, baseball acted as the much-needed sweetener, making the tough pills of life's realities a bit easier to swallow. Now, talking about legends, Jackie Robinson is a name that stands out for breaking racial barriers in baseball. He was an extraordinary athlete, born in Cairo, Georgia, on January 31, 1919. However, he didn't stay put in one place for too long. Jackie was raised in Pasadena, California, where he showcased his incredible athletic talents, not just in one sport, but in a variety, including football, basketball, track, and of course baseball, while he was a student at UCLA. Despite facing financial hardships and the nasty reality of racial discrimination, Jackie navigated through life's challenges with elegance and determination. Jackie Robinson wasn't only known for his ability to tackle opponents on the football field. He famously broke through baseball's racial barriers when he joined the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. In a time when your skin color attracted more attention than your skills, Jackie faced racial abuse head-on, much like evading a series of fast-moving dodgeballs. But he remained focused on the game. His outstanding performance earned him the Rookie of the Year award in 1947 and the National League's MVP in 1949, showcasing that one's ability can indeed overshadow prejudices. But Jackie's influence didn't end with winning titles or championships. He played a significant role beyond the baseball field. He took his fight to the civil rights arena, using his fame not for personal gain, but to stand up against social injustices, setting a path for future generations with the speed he was known for on the bases. Major League Baseball now celebrates Jackie by retiring his number 42 across all teams and dedicating every April 15 as Jackie Robinson Day, where players honor his legacy by wearing his number, creating a visual homage to his impact. And we can't forget about the era of expansion and relocation, which reshaped the geography of baseball from the 1950s through the 2000s. When the Brooklyn Dodgers moved to Los Angeles, it was a big deal, like your favorite TV show taking place in a new, more lively and sunny spot. This period revolutionized how stadiums were built, turning them into architectural wonders with luxury amenities that enhanced the fan experience, making it feel like watching a game in utmost comfort. And we can't overlook the role of mascots and team rivalries in enriching the baseball experience. Mascots such as the Philly Fanatic and the San Diego Chicken became more than mere entertainment. They turned into cultural icons, representing the essence of their teams and engaging with fans in ways that often overshadowed the main event. The rivalries, like the classic battles between the Yankees and the Red Sox, or the Dodgers and the Giants, transcended ordinary matches. They were grand narratives of loyalty, competition, and sometimes humor, weaving together tales that strengthened fan bonds in a way that the most captivating romantic comedies couldn't match. Then there was the era characterized by home runs that seemed powered by rockets, players bulking up incredibly fast, and the baseball field resembling a muscle contest. This led to the explosive revelations of the Mitchell Report in 2006 to 2007, spearheaded by George Mitchell, who was well-versed in both politics and crafting engaging narratives. The report wasn't just insane, it was like a plot twist out of a blockbuster movie, uncovering the rampant use of performance-enhancing substances in baseball.
The use of steroids in Major League Baseball was widespread.
With Barry Bonds and others under the spotlight for steroid use, the Major League Baseball Players Association played its part as the secretive keeper of players' secrets, advising them to remain silent about their use of performance enhancers. People have a nickname for it, Vitamin S. He looks back fondly on those times when swinging a bat had the same thrilling power as a Jedi Master controlling a lightsaber, and when baseballs seemed to be in a hurry to break free from the pull of the earth. With a smile that hints at mischief, he tells tales of home run shakes so powerful they made Popeye's signature spinach look like just a small starter by comparison. All the while, he chuckles over a time when taking steroids
But
was
it's
considered
called
as
love,
casual as
okay.
eating sunflower seeds while hanging out by the baseball field. Let's stretch our imaginations and embark on a journey that takes baseball, a game deeply loved in America, to every corner of the globe, transforming it into something as grand as its own Olympic event known as the World Baseball Classic. In this expansive setting, baseball becomes a melting pot of cultures, welcoming countries from Latin America and Asia into its fold. This mix brings new traditions to the sport, making it a vibrant and exciting global spectacle. Imagine a scenario where a player from Japan thinks a hot dog is the American take on sushi on his very first day, or a Dominican pitcher who turns the locker room into a spontaneous dance party with merengue music. These anecdotes shed light on the funny and sometimes confusing blend of cultures in baseball, creating stories of friendship and the odd cultural bump. Nowadays, Major League Baseball is on a mission to capture the hearts of young people who are all about social media, using dazzling technology to do so. Picture the 2023 season as the grand debut of advanced gadgets and systems, with StatCast at the forefront. It uses super fast cameras to make following players' movements and the details of their gameplay as thrilling as watching a superhero movie. This tech celebration lets fans see behind the scenes, showing the details of how players perform. It turns every swing of the bat and sprint to a base into a story fueled by data. And there's still more exciting stuff ahead. MLB is trying to make games as fast-paced and exciting as a New York Minute by introducing a pitch clock and making the process for reviewing plays more efficient. Imagine a replay center that seems like it's straight out of a science fiction film, with officials and tech experts huddled around screens, ready to quickly make calls that keep the game moving swiftly, avoiding any notorious delays. These updates bring both excitement and skepticism from fans, sparking debates about the true nature of baseball. While some long for the days when the games unfolded more slowly, building suspense naturally, these new changes also open up fresh ways for fans to experience baseball. They bring the excitement right into their homes and onto their screens, reaching a wider audience. As baseball evolves, navigating the ups and downs of performance enhancement controversies and celebrating international friendships, its story remains a beloved tale of triumph, teamwork, and the occasional laugh. What amazing innovations could baseball see next? Maybe hoverboards or robotic umpires? No matter what, watching baseball is always going to be entertaining. If you enjoyed exploring what the future of baseball might hold,
For one, what the write the entire history of the NFL.
Did you know the NFL used to look like this?
What?
The field used to be this small, or the players didn't use helmets. Much has changed throughout the years. So, how did we get here? Well, it all started back in 1892, when the sport was stolen. England made up this crazy game called rugby, using this field and this ball. So, Americans just took everything and called it football. The only difference was, they made football extremely deadly, because, well, they both didn't wear any helmets or pads. Instead of tackling, football players would fist fight, bite each other's ears off, or even gouge each other's eyes out. It was so bad that, by 1906, over 100 people had died from playing football, and thousands of others became...
Let me see. I actually died. Okay.
disabled. But in 1920, football became a game instead of a crime, when a player named Jim Thorpe formed the first ever pro football league, and finally introduced some rules which stopped players from dying so much. They got some shoulder pads and leather helmets, told everyone to stop fist fighting, and legalized passing the ball. So now that things were official, they decided to name the league, calling it the American Professional Football Association, or APFA. The name was booty. So 2 years later they changed it, and in 1922, the world was finally blessed with the NFL. Now, there's 14 chapters in the NFL's history, and next up we got 1922, an era where the league was terrible. There was no Super Bowl, no game schedule. I mean, teams would literally play whenever they wanted. And when it comes to players, the pay was so bad, it wasn't a full-time gig. So the league was filled with milkmen and coal miners in jerseys. And let's just say that you were a fan that could look past all of that. Were you really gonna support the Columbus Panhandles, the Moline Universal Tractors, or whatever the hell this is? Yeah, those were real NFL teams. It was impossible to be a fan, and the NFL knew it too, because the league just wasn't growing. Over the next 20 years...
Huh? Bro? Detroit Lions, like the Detroit Lions. That was still the name. Los Angeles Buccaneers, like the Turbulent Bay Buccaneers. The Yellow Jackets. Buffalo football, like the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. The Tigers. There's nobody named the Tigers in the NFL.
Years, things only got worse. 14 different teams went bankrupt, and those that did survive had to take out loans to pay their players. Plus, the NFL wasn't even the best football league. College football was literally 20 times more popular. It was looking like the beginning of the end. But in 1949, the NFL came up with a genius solution, implementing 3 key changes that no other league had at the time. They added set game schedules, started televising games, and to help with reducing injuries, the NFL introduced plastic helmets.
The inventor sure has faith in his helmet, for he's going to try it out himself. And now watch him take it. Right on the old beam.
Yeah, along with some new teams.
No, I gotta rewatch that.
Solution, implementing 3 key changes that no other league had at the time. They added set game schedules, started televising games, and to help with reducing injuries, the NFL introduced plastic helmets.
The inventor sure has faith in his helmet, for he's going to try it out himself. And now watch him take it. Right on the old beam.
Yeah, along with some new teams, like the Colts, Browns, and 49ers, and all the
Baltimore Colts, but now they're called the Indianapolis Colts. They were the old Baltimore team a long time ago. The Cleveland Browns suck. The San Francisco 49ers, they made it to a couple Super Bowls and they lost all of them to the Chiefs. Well, not all of them, but whatever Super Bowl they made it to, they lost to the Chiefs.
These changes worked because the 1958 NFL Championship had become the most watched sporting event in TV history. See, the 2 biggest teams in the league, the New York Giants and Baltimore Colts, were facing off. And after going back and forth all game, the 2 teams went into the first ever sudden death overtime. So everyone and their mom tuned in. I'm talking 45 million people, literally 9 times more than the year before. And after the Colts took home the W, it became forever nicknamed the greatest game ever played.
1960.
In the 1960s, a rival league was formed called the AFL, which introduced teams like the Texans, Chargers, Bills, Raiders, and Patriots. And their owners were way more rich and way more greedy, so they were trying to take the NFL down by any means necessary, like stealing their players, nabbing their TV contracts. They even paid players so much that the NFL couldn't afford to stay in business. So the NFL had no choice but to play dirty back by stealing the AFL star players, like Pete Gogolak. But after 7 years of back and forth, it became clear nobody was winning. So to avoid bankruptcy, the 2 decided to merge and become one league, called the NFL. Again. Now, we've got 9 more chapters about the NFL's history coming up, and that's not all. We'll talk about the future, too, because the NFL will be implementing artificial intelligence that predicts plays before they even happen, and the league wants to replace refs with AI. Yeah, the NFL's changing a lot. But if you want to make a change, too, you should check out today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Listen, we all know therapy is important, and that we probably should do, but it's just not easy. Finding a therapist that works for you, then actually going there once a week, plus paying hundreds of dollars per session. I figured there had to be a better solution. That's when I did some research and found BetterHelp. BetterHelp allows you to access therapy right from your home. It's simple and affordable. By answering some questions about yourself, BetterHelp will match you up with the best therapist for you. You can choose if you want to talk over messages or have video calls. BetterHelp makes it easy to start improving your mental health. Feeling unhappy, stressed, or overwhelmed is not fun at all. And even worse, it can ruin relationships, your work, and most importantly, your own health. I used to have very unhealthy habits and lack the discipline to improve them, but therapy helped me understand my own mind better, which in turn helped me build healthier habits, like going to the gym and eating better. So take the first step to working on yourself today. Head over to BetterHelp.com/rebound. And hey, I managed to get a special discount deal for you guys, alright? 10% off your first month. Again, that's BetterHelp.com/rebound for 10% off your first month. And of course, thank you to BetterHelp for this generous offer and supporting the channel. Now, in 1972, one of the most controversial moments in NFL history would happen. During the final play of a 1972 AFC playoff game, the Steelers quarterback threw the ball and bounced off a player's helmet. And not only that, it somehow fell into another player's hands. And the Steelers scored the game-winning touchdown. This play was so incredible, it became forever known as the Immaculate Reception. But here's the problem. Back then, once the ball left a quarterback's hands, an offensive player could not catch a pass that had been touched by another offensive player, unless a defensive player had touched the ball. But when you watch the tape back, it's impossible to tell if a defensive player ever actually touched the ball. So this instantly sparked outrage, with Raiders players and fans saying that catch should not have counted.
When a guy crosses a goal line, it's either a touchdown or it's not. They didn't call it a touchdown. They didn't know if it was a touchdown. I went out. They said, get away. We don't know what happened.
That's rude.
So now the referee leaves that huddle, and he goes over to the dugout on the Pittsburgh Steelers side, and he gets on the phone, and he makes a call to someone. Then he hangs up. Then he walks out into the middle field and says, touchdown. 5 or 10 minutes later.
We were in the locker room. John came in and just said, guys, we got screwed.
They call it the Immaculate Reception. I call it the Immaculate Deception.
Yeah, and it's still being debated to this day. The rest of the decade, though, was all about domination, because the Steelers became a dynasty, winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, with 9 Hall of Fame players on their team. It was unthinkable, but they weren't alone, because the Dallas Cowboys won 2 Super Bowls, and were actually so good, they became known as America's team. But nobody won like the Miami Dolphins, because to this day, they're the only team in NFL history to have completed a perfect record season, going 17-0.
That's it. It's over. Way to go, Nicky. That's right, man.
However, in 1980, the NFL was forced to prepare for its funeral. See,
Ooh, that looks bad in 1950.
Pro-life legislator.
Bro, a whole entire team died in 1950. Like, no, you can see it for yourself because it's actually true. A whole entire team died in 1950. It's true. Bro, you can see for yourself.
A major step forward. Rob Mercury is dangerous.
over the last decade, there were 3 separate plane crashes
Told you.
carrying sports teams.
Told you.
From the Marshall University football team to the
Told you.
University of Evansville
Yep.
and the United States boxing team.
Yup.
All resulting in the deaths of 191 people.
Good evening. A charter jet carrying the Marshall University football team home to West Virginia crashed last night as it tried to land at the Huntington Airport. All 75 persons aboard were killed. It was the worst plane crash in the United States so far this year.
This shook the sports world and made the NFL completely change their views on safety. So they cooked up all kinds of guidelines, like the disaster draft, where if a team suffers a tragedy, the league will host an emergency draft to replace their players. But the NFL wanted to improve safety on the field too, so they implemented stricter rules on contact to the head, neck, and face, making sure the chances of disaster were slim to none, which is exactly what the league needed.
1958.
In 1985, the 49ers drafted the greatest wide receiver of all time, a man who still holds the most receiving yards in NFL history
Jerry
and
Rice.
has the most touchdowns of all
Jerry
time,
Rice.
the one and only Jerry Rice. But he wasn't the only legend on the Niners, because he teamed up with legendary quarterback Joe Montana, and together, those two dominated the rest of the 80s, winning 2 Super Bowls together. These dudes were NFL stars, but by the 90s, an unlikely star would come around to steal the spotlight.
Michael Jackson.
The Super Bowl was the most popular thing on TV, pulling in an average 80 million.
Yeah, it happens every year. It's a special event in the NFL that they made.
Viewers per year. But there was a problem. The halftime shows sucked. And they knew that if they wanted to increase their viewership, they had to get their act together. Do something that would get everyone talking about the Super Bowl. So, they called up the biggest star in the world, Michael Jackson. And he put on the performance of a lifetime, with viewership exploding to an insane 133 million.
Fireworks, hurricane machines, and the Moonwalker himself formed the centerpiece of the highest-rated television broadcast of all time.
This was the moment that halftime shows became the must-see event of the year. I mean, people would tune in just to see the halftime show, and that's still the case to this day. It was June 12, 1994. Everyone was just going about their day when news broke that the ex-wife of one of the NFL's biggest stars, O.J. Simpson, was stabbed to death. People were shocked and started to question if OJ had anything to do with it. But just a couple of days after the murder, every TV station was hit with a breaking news alert saying,
O.J. Simpson vanishes after being charged for a crime his fans never dreamed he could commit.
Unbelievably, the most watched, most wondered about man in America has gone missing tonight. He apparently disappeared from under the noses of his lawyers and doctors this afternoon, dodged an arranged surrender, and vanished into the Los Angeles haze. There is nothing like this in memory. Nothing. I understand we're going to go to a live picture in Los Angeles. Okay. Police believe he is in that vehicle.
With a gun
Police
in his
radio is
hand.
saying that Simpson, the passenger in the car, has a gun at his head.
this was insane. Like, just imagine a player today like Tom Brady going on the run for murder. It was unlike any...
That was the stupidest example. You could have used, like, what's his name? Okay, I don't know names, but you could have used, like, a better player from, like, the Patriots, the Kansas City Chiefs, like, Xavier. Like, you can use Xavier. What's wrong with Xavier? Come on now, bro.
thing the world had ever seen. So once word got around, over 95 million people tuned in to watch OJ speed down the LA highway as he narrowly missed hitting civilians on the road.
Highway Patrol. Yeah, I think I just saw OJ Simpson on the 5 freeway, and we like looked at him, you know? And he like stared us down like he was dead.
And finally, after a 45-minute chase, OJ surrendered. But the case was far from over, because as OJ went to trial, he argued that he had nothing to do with the murders, the evidence had been mishandled, and that the cops had been racist against him. But despite his pleas, all signs pointed to OJ being guilty. No, the entire public knew it. Like, why would you run from the police like that if you're innocent? But in the end, one crucial piece of evidence saved OJ's life.
Item number 9, the Rocky Run blood. Your Honor, at this time, the people would ask that Mr. Simpson step forward and try on the glove recovered at Bundy as well as the glove recovered at Rocky.
Yes. All right. Thank you, counsel.
It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
Yeah, and he had all charges dropped against him. To this day, though, people still think OJ really did it. And to be honest, it's because of things like this.
Just did you do?
One man believes in no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. And now, no tax on overtime.
The people who work overtime are among the hardest working citizens in our country.
Do it?
No, I didn't.
After we finished filming, OJ said to me that he had a surprise for me, and I genuinely was surprised. I think it was his idea of a joke.
I hope it was.
Now, this moment really marked the beginning of NFL players going off the deep end, because the rest of the 90s were just as unhinged. Ray Caruth hired a hitman to shoot his girlfriend. Alonzo Spellman threatened to kill himself with a landline telephone, all because his doctor was late to his appointment. And Cecil Collins was arrested for breaking into a woman's house to watch her sleep. He just stood there and watched.
2000.
Now, while crime ruled the 90s, cash ruled the 2000s. Between merchandise, TV deals, and sponsorships, business was booming. The NFL was now worth $12 billion, and players wanted their piece of the bag too. So to keep their stars happy, the NFL was forced to pay up big time, which had Brett Favre now making $47 million for 7 years. Randy Moss was making $66 million for 8 years.
Dang.
Hell, even safeties like Lawyer Malloy were making $35 million for 7 years.
Dang.
NFL players were getting you money. But in 2001, Drew Bledsoe smashed all the records because he was considered the best quarterback in the league, and the Patriots wanted to make sure their star was taken care of. So they offered a record-breaking $103 million contract for 10 years. But by 2001, all of that money went to waste, because immediately after, Drew suffered a collapsed lung and was sidelined for the entire season. The Patriots were the favorite to win it all that season, and now they were missing their star quarterback and had to rely on their backup, A guy with no experience, was the 199th pick in the draft.
You saw this tall, gangly-looking kid. Looked like haven't ever seen a weight room. Ran a 5.2 something, one of the slowest quarterbacks in the combine.
Tom Brady has been put into quarterback and Drew Bledsoe taken out.
Tom Brady, my
Second-year quarterback
God.
from the University of
Dang.
Michigan, who threw only 3 passes in his rookie year last year, 1 for 3, a 6-yard completion, and this is his first
I know he's the star
of
quarterback, but
2001.
dang.
So apparently Bledsoe knocked around a little more than it appeared, and Brady in charge against 5 defensive backs.
This man came in and instantly became a star, leading the team to a Super Bowl and winning it all that season. Brady quickly became the face of the Patriots, and soon after,
He was
the
bad
entire
to a
NFL.
good quarterback.
Yeah, if
That's
it wasn't
crazy.
for Drew's injury, Tom Brady might have never happened. But by 2003, there was another quarterback who was dominating the field. A man that could move like a running back, throw bombs like Tom Brady, and that defense is dropping to their knees.
Dang.
Talking about Michael Vick. See, for the first time ever, the league saw a quarterback that could beat you with no help and could run into the end zone at any moment. Before Michael Vick, quarterbacks were mostly handing off or throwing the ball. But now you had to worry about a quarterback being a damn running back. And this style of play paved the way for future dual threats, like Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, and Russell Wilson. At this point, the NFL...
How about Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson, C.J. Stroud? Can't think of anybody else, but you could also put those quarterbacks. They're also good.
was in his prime. But something happened in 2004 that scarred NFL fans for life.
I remember this, bro. This
It was
one.
the Super Bowl 38 halftime.
See, I didn't watch it live, but I watched the game highlights because I wasn't even born back then. But I did watch the game highlights in 2020, and they were good.
Over 144 million people watching live. You had little kids to grandparents, all huddled around their TV. And they were all excited to see two of the biggest stars in the world perform, Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake. So when they finally took the stage, the world shook. But during the final minutes of their epic performance, Justin was supposed to rip off a part of Janet's costume to reveal another layer of her outfit. But instead, she had a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh!
And this went down as the legendary Nipplegate.
Was it planned, Janet?
No,
It was not planned.
Well, what people don't understand is
Why does she look like Michael Jackson? Why does she look like Michael Jackson? Huh, that's weird. Why does she look like Michael Jackson? Michael Jackson looks just like that, but he doesn't have long hair. And that sounds like his voice. I feel like that's Michael Jackson pretending to be a different person.
he was to take and rip the piece off that he did.
The leather piece.
Right, but more came off than what was supposed to.
Now, over the next 3 years, the only exciting thing that happened was Peyton Manning having his glow-up, winning his second MVP, and taking home his first ring. And also, the NFL decided to ban touchdown celebrations.
What?
One of the dumbest decisions the NFL's ever